The massive space station spun slowly against the backdrop of glittering stars, its silver rings catching the light of the nearby sun. Inside the grand chamber of the Galactic Assembly, beings from 100 different worlds gathered in rising tiers of seats, their quiet whispers filling the air with a mix of clicks, whistles, and hummed words. Tom stood at the entrance, straightening his plain black suit. As Earth's ambassador, he had spent the last 3 years in this chamber, speaking for humanity. He took a deep breath of the carefully filtered air and walked to his assigned seat in the lowest tier, the place reserved for developing species. The other aliens watched him walk past, some pulling their breathing tubes closer, others shifting their delicate bodies away. Tom had gotten used to their reactions. To them, humans were Deathworlders, creatures from a planet that should have killed them. Earth's gravity was too strong, its animals too fierce, its weather too wild. The fact that humans had not only survived but built spaceships seemed impossible to them. Above him sat the bright minds, their crystal-like bodies catching the light. They had ruled the assembly for centuries, claiming their superior intelligence made them natural leaders. Their representative, a towering figure whose body sparkled with 1,000 rainbow colors, looked down at Tom with what passed for a smile among their kind. "The human delegation is late again," the bright mind announced, its voice translated into perfect standard speech by the room's computers. "Perhaps they found our artificial gravity too challenging this morning." Quiet laughter rippled through the chamber. Tom smiled back, keeping his face relaxed and friendly. Let them laugh. Let them think humans struggled with the station's weak gravity. Better that than having them realize how easily Tom could jump the 30 feet to the Bright Minds platform if he wanted to. "Our apologies," Tom said, his voice soft and careful. "We're still learning your ways." He took his seat, noting how the beings to either side shifted away slightly. Their homeworlds had gravity 1/3 of Earth's. To them, his movements probably looked dangerous and clumsy. The day's session began with the usual topics. Trade routes were discussed. Border disputes were settled. New species were evaluated for membership. Tom took notes and spoke only when asked, playing the role of the humble representative of a young species. During a break, he watched a group of bright minds glide past his seat. Their crystalline bodies moved with perfect grace in the low gravity. One of them bumped his chair, hard enough to spill his water. "Oh, my apologies," it chimed, not sounding sorry at all. "I forget how easily your primitive furniture moves." Tom dabbed at the water with a cloth, keeping his movements slow and careful. He had trained for years to hide his real strength and speed. On Earth, he could run 40 miles an hour and lift 4 times his body weight. Here, in 1/3 gravity, he could do much more. But that was humanity's best-kept secret. The afternoon brought news of pirate attacks near human space. Tom listened as the assembly dismissed the problem. "The Deathworlders can handle a few pirates," the speaker announced. "Their thick skins and dense bones make them suited for such unfortunate business." Tom sent a message home that evening, encoding it in the new quantum channels humans had secretly developed. "They still don't suspect," he wrote. "The bright minds continue to underestimate us. Their latest ships have weapons that would barely dent our weakest shields, but they think we're struggling with basic space travel." He added notes about the day's session, including the subtle signs he'd noticed. The bright minds were building up their fleet, thinking no one would notice. They still saw humans as primitive brutes who had gotten lucky with space travel. None of them had bothered to ask why a species that evolved on a death world might have developed advanced technology. None of them wondered what other surprises humans might be hiding. That was fine with Tom. Humanity had learned long ago that being underestimated was an advantage. They would keep playing nice, keep acting humble, keep hiding their true capabilities. But they would also keep watching, keep preparing, keep building their hidden strength. The day would come when the galaxy learned why evolution on a death world produced not just strong bodies, but clever minds and careful plans. Until then, Tom would keep smiling, keep apologizing, keep playing the role of the simple death worlder who was just happy to have a seat at the table. Little did they know, humans already owned the chairs. Kate walked through the quiet halls of the human embassy, her footsteps barely making a sound on the polished floor. The night cycle of the station had begun, and most other species were resting. Humans, with their evolved ability to stay alert for long periods, used these quiet hours to their advantage. In her office, she looked over the data again. As Earth's intelligence officer, disguised as a simple cultural advisor, she had spent months gathering pieces of a puzzle that was finally taking shape. The bright minds were hiding something big, and tonight she had proof. Her computer showed shipping records, resource movements, and energy signatures that didn't match official reports. The bright minds had built massive facilities in empty systems, far from regular trade routes. They called them research stations, but Kate knew better. The energy readings matched weapons testing. A soft knock at her door made her look up. Tom entered, his face showing the strain of another day of playing the humble ambassador. "You found something?" he asked, his voice low even though the room was secured against all known listening devices. Kate nodded and showed him the evidence. "They're building warships," she said. "Not the simple patrol vessels they claim, but real warships. My calculations show they've made enough to attack 3 systems at once." Tom studied the data, his carefully maintained facade of pleasantness replaced by sharp focus. "The assembly would never approve this level of military buildup," he said. "How are they hiding it?" "They're using their reputation," Kate explained. "Nobody questions the bright minds. They're the natural leaders of the galaxy, remember. When they say a facility is for research, nobody checks too closely." A message flashed on her screen. More data from their hidden probes. Kate's eyes widened as she read. "This is worse than we thought. They're not just building ships. They're planning to attack multiple species' homeworlds at once. They want to take control of the entire assembly." Tom's hand tightened on the edge of her desk, and for a moment, the metal creaked under his grip, a reminder of the strength humans usually kept hidden. "We have to warn the assembly," he said. Kate laughed without humor. "We tried that last month, remember? When we showed them evidence of unusual activity in the outer systems. They said we were imagining threats due to our primitive survival instincts." They both knew how that meeting had gone. The assembly speaker had actually patted Tom on the head, like a pet, and told him to leave complex matters to more advanced species. The memory still made Kate's blood boil. She pulled up more data, showing the movement of resources and ships. The bright minds think they've planned for everything. They've studied every species' known military capability. What they don't know is that those capabilities are wrong, at least for us. Tom nodded slowly. "Earth's ships are faster than what we've shown them. Our weapons are stronger. Our shields are better. We've been holding back, showing them only what they expect from a young species. But should we keep waiting?" Kate asked. "The bright minds are almost ready. Their attack could come any day." Tom was quiet for a long moment. "We keep watching," he finally said. "We gather more proof. Maybe we can stop this without revealing everything we can do. Humanity has learned to be patient. It's how we survived on Earth." Kate sent the data to Earth through their quantum channels, adding her analysis. The response would come soon, but she already knew what it would say. "Keep watching. Keep gathering evidence. Stay hidden until the right moment." She looked at the station through her window, at the elegant curves and gleaming metal that housed the Galactic Assembly. The bright minds had built this place centuries ago, and everyone saw it as a symbol of their leadership. Nobody noticed the small changes humans had made to their own section. The reinforced walls, the hidden defense systems, the quantum communication arrays disguised as standard transmitters. "They think they're so far ahead of us," Kate murmured, watching distant ships dock at the station. They never asked themselves why a species that survived Earth's gravity, predators, and weather might be good at keeping secrets. Tom stood to leave, his movements still carefully measured despite the late hour. "Let them think what they want," he said. "When the time comes, They'll learn what Deathworlders can really do. Behind them, Kate's computer continued gathering data, counting down to a confrontation that would change the galaxy forever. The emergency alarm woke Tom in the middle of the station's night cycle. Red lights flashed through the human embassy as he quickly dressed and rushed to the command center. He found Kate already there, her face lit by the glow of multiple screens. "What happened?" he asked, though the look on her face told him it wasn't good news. "The human colony on Green Haven is gone," Kate said, her voice tight with anger. "A reactor accident, according to the Bright Minds report. 3,000 colonists dead." Tom's hands curled into fists. Green Haven was a farming world, populated by humans who helped feed several nearby systems. Its reactor designs were among the safest in known space. Humans had learned about nuclear safety the hard way, centuries ago. "Show me," he said. Kate played the surveillance feeds. The colony's reactor hadn't exploded. It had been destroyed, along with the main settlement. The attack pattern was clear to anyone who knew what to look for. This was no accident. "The Assembly is calling an emergency session," Kate said. "The Bright Minds representative is already calling it a tragic accident caused by primitive human engineering." Tom nodded slowly, his face a mask of calm that didn't reach his eyes. "Of course they are." He pressed a button on his comm unit. "Send the signal to Earth. Code Black." Kate's eyes widened. Code Black meant no more pretending. No more playing nice. "Are you sure? Once we stop holding back." "They killed 3,000 farmers," Tom said quietly. "People who were growing food for other species. They thought we would take this lying down, like good little Deathworlders who should be grateful for our place in their galaxy." The assembly chamber was already full when they arrived. The Bright Minds representative stood at the main platform, its crystalline body shifting through sorrowful colors as it described the accident. Other species made sympathetic noises, a few even offering to send technical advisors to help humans better understand reactor safety. Tom waited for the right moment, then stood. The chamber went quiet. Humans rarely spoke unless spoken to. "We thank the Assembly for its concern," he said, his voice carrying clearly through the vast room. "But we have a different interpretation of events." The Bright Minds representative's colors flickered in annoyance. "The evidence is clear, Ambassador. Your species' understanding of technology is still developing." "Is it?" Tom asked. He nodded to Kate, who sent the real sensor data to the chamber's main display. These readings showed directed energy weapons, precisely targeted strikes. This was no accident. Murmurs filled the chamber. The Bright Minds representative's colors turned sharp, angry. "You dare accuse." "We dare many things," Tom said, and for the first time, he let his carefully maintained mask slip. He stood straighter, no longer pretending the station's gravity bothered him. His voice carried the strength that came from evolving on a world that tried to kill you every day. "We dare to survive. We dare to grow. And we dare to stop pretending." The chamber erupted in shocked whispers as Tom walked forward, his movements suddenly swift and sure. No more shuffling, no more careful steps. He moved like what he was, a predator from a high-gravity world. "Humanity has been patient," he announced. "We played your games. We accepted your insults. We smiled when you treated us like children. But this," he gestured to the images of the destroyed colony, "this was your mistake." A message flashed on Kate's pad. Earth had received their signal. Things were happening now that couldn't be stopped. The careful plans of years were being put into motion. The Bright Minds representative drew itself up, its colors bright with anger. "You forget your place, Deathworlder. The Assembly." "The Assembly will learn something today," Tom interrupted. "You'll all learn what it means to push too far, to kill innocent people, and think there won't be consequences." He smiled, and for the first time, the Assembly saw the Predator's teeth behind the diplomat's smile. Behind him, Kate's pad lit up with new signals. Human ships were dropping their disguises throughout the galaxy, revealing their true capabilities. Defense systems hidden in every human facility were coming online. Years of preparation were about to pay off. The game was over. The Deathworlders were done playing nice. The assembly chamber's peace shattered as emergency alerts blazed across every screen. The Bright Minds had launched their attack, but not against Earth as many had expected. Instead, their ships appeared above the peaceful world of blue waters, home to a species of gentle filter feeders who had never built a weapon in their history. "This is what you feared would happen," Tom announced to the shocked assembly. "This is what we tried to warn you about." His voice carried over the panic as representatives from 100 worlds watched the Bright Minds warships move into attack position. The Bright Minds representatives' colors swirled in triumph. "The galaxy needs order," it declared. "Real leadership. The time of pretending lesser species deserve equal voice is over." The chamber erupted in chaos as the first shots were fired at blue waters. The filter feeders' representative wailed in despair. Their swimming song turned to a cry of anguish. They had no defenses, no way to fight back. But the attacks never reached their world. The shots from the Bright Minds ships splashed harmlessly against shields that shouldn't have existed. Shields that glowed with a soft blue light, protecting the entire planet. "Impossible," the Bright Minds representative whispered, its colors fading to pale shock. "That world has no defense technology." "No," Tom agreed, allowing himself to smile. "They don't. But we do." Kate's fingers flew across her control panel, sending the signal they'd waited years to give. Above blue waters, ships appeared as if from nowhere, their stealth systems finally deactivated. Human ships, far more advanced than anything they'd shown the galaxy. "When we joined the assembly," Tom explained to the stunned aliens, "we visited every peaceful world, every species that couldn't protect themselves. We told them we were learning about their cultures." He paused. "We were actually installing defense systems, hiding ships, preparing." The assembly's main screen showed the battle unfolding. The Bright Mind ships fired again and again, their weapons useless against human shields. They tried to retreat, only to find more human ships appearing behind them, boxing them in. "You see," Kate added, standing beside Tom, "on Earth, we learned something important. The strong must protect the weak. Not rule them. Not destroy them. Protect them." The Bright Minds representative's colors turned to the deep purple of rage. "You dare. You primitive Deathworlders dare to interfere. We designed those weapons to pierce any known shield." "Known shields," Tom corrected. "But we never showed you our real technology. Those farmer colonists you killed, their deaths activated every defense system we'd hidden throughout the galaxy. You didn't just wake the Deathworlders. You woke our fury." On the screen, human ships moved with impossible speed and precision. Their weapons, finally shown at full strength, carved through the Bright Minds fleet like paper. Not destroying them, but disabling them with surgical precision. "Your ships are now locked in our tractor beams," Cave announced to the chamber. "Your weapons are disabled. Your engines are shut down. This attack is over." The assembly representatives watched in stunned silence as the human ships quickly and efficiently neutralized the entire invasion fleet. Centuries of Bright Mind technological superiority meant nothing against humanity's hidden strength. "We could have shown you this power from the start," Tom told the silent chamber. "We could have demanded respect. But we wanted peace. We wanted cooperation. We played weak so you wouldn't fear us." More screens lit up across the chamber, showing similar scenes playing out across the galaxy. Everywhere the Bright Minds had planned to attack, they found human ships waiting. Every peaceful species they had targeted was already under protection. "The galaxy will know now," Kate said softly, "why humans survived Earth, why our world's endless challenges made us strong, not just in body, but in mind, in spirit, in our determination to protect others." The Bright Minds representatives' colors faded to the gray of defeat as reports flooded in. Their entire plan, centuries in the making, had been undone in minutes by the species they had dismissed as primitive Deathworlders. The assembly must decide now, Tom announced to the chamber. Will you accept that strength can serve peace? That being powerful doesn't mean you have to dominate. He looked at each representative in turn. Humans have hidden our true nature long enough. Now you must choose. Will you work with us to build a better galaxy, or do we need another demonstration of why you shouldn't anger the Deathworlders? The chamber was silent. The age of pretending was over. The galaxy would never be the same. The next few hours changed everything the galaxy thought it knew about humans. As the assembly watched in stunned silence, Kate pulled up display after display showing the true extent of human preparation and power. Hidden shipyards appeared in supposedly empty systems, their cloaking fields dropping to reveal vessels that made the Bright Minds fleet look like children's toys. Space stations that had been disguised as small research outposts transformed, revealing massive defense platforms and repair facilities. This is the Hammer of Dawn, Kate said, showing an enormous human warship emerging from its hiding place near a gas giant. We built it 2 years ago. Your sensors thought it was a mining operation. The ship was nearly the size of a small moon, its hull made of materials the Bright Minds had thought impossible to create. The Bright Minds representative had gone completely still, its crystalline form frozen in the color of absolute shock. How? It whispered. We monitored everything. We tracked every human shipment, every resource transfer. Tom smiled. Did you really think a species that evolved fighting monsters would be bad at hiding things? We learned stealth before we learned to make fire. He turned to the assembly. Every trade ship we sent out carried hidden components. Every cultural exchange was a chance to position our forces. We built our real fleet right under your noses. On the main screen, human ships were systematically disabling the remains of the Bright Minds attack fleet. Their weapons were precise, their movements perfectly coordinated. Years of hiding their true capabilities had given humans plenty of time to practice. Your gravity weapons? Kate asked the Bright Minds representative. We developed countermeasures 5 years ago. Those radiation beams you were so proud of. Our shields laugh at them. You thought you were ready for war, but you were preparing to fight the weak species you thought we were. A new alert flashed across the screens. The Bright Minds had activated their hidden weapon platforms near their homeworld, desperate to maintain some advantage. The assembly chamber fell silent, waiting for the devastating attack. Instead, nothing happened. Looking for these? Tom asked, bringing up images of disabled weapon platforms. We found them all. Disabled them months ago. Replaced their control systems with empty shells running fake signals. Did you really think we wouldn't check your homeworld first? The Bright Minds representative's color shifted to deep red, the first time any human had seen that shade in their species. Impossible. Our security was designed to stop the enemies you knew, Kate interrupted. But you never truly understood what it means to evolve on a death world, where every day is a fight for survival, where you have to be stronger, faster, and smarter than 1,000 things trying to kill you. More screens lit up, showing human ships appearing near every major Bright Mind military installation across the galaxy. Not dozens of ships, but thousands. An entire hidden fleet revealed at last. We could destroy it all, Tom said quietly. Every weapon, every ship, every military installation you built. We have the power to end the Bright Minds as a species. He paused, letting that sink in. But that's not what Deathworlders are really about. Kate nodded, pulling up new displays. These showed human medical ships, already moving to help stressed populations on worlds the Bright Minds had threatened. Relief supplies, held in secret caches, were being distributed to species who had suffered under the Bright Minds' subtle oppression. On Earth, Tom explained to the assembly, the strongest creatures aren't always the ones that survive. The ones that survive are those who learn to work together, to protect each other, to build something better than endless competition. He turned to the Bright Minds representative, whose color had faded to a dull gray of defeat. Your ships are disabled, not destroyed. Your weapons are neutralized, not obliterated. Now you have a choice. Learn to be part of a galaxy where strength means responsibility, not power over others, or find out what happens when Deathworlders stop being nice entirely. Throughout the chamber, representatives from dozens of worlds began to understand. Humans hadn't just been hiding their military power. They'd been building a safety net for the entire galaxy. Protection for the weak, medicine for the sick, help for those in need. The age of bright mind dominance was over. The time of the Deathworlders had begun, but not as conquerors, as protectors, defenders, and builders of a better future. Marcus stood on the bridge of the Hammer of Dawn, watching as the last bright mind warships were escorted to designated holding areas. As the human fleet's commander, he had spent years preparing for this moment, but the speed of their victory still amazed him. 3 hours of actual combat had ended a threat centuries in the making. "Status report," he called out, and his crew, no longer pretending to be simple merchants or researchers, responded with crisp efficiency. "All bright mind military installations are secure," his tactical officer reported. "Their weapons have been disabled. Their command centers are under our control. No casualties on either side, sir." That last part was important. Humans could have easily destroyed their opponents, but they had chosen a harder path. Disabled engines, scrambled computers, and careful containment had required much more skill than simple destruction. On his main screen, he watched the assembly chamber where Tom and Kate were still handling the diplomatic side of things. The Bright Minds leadership had finally begun to surrender formally, their crystalline bodies dulled to the gray shades of complete defeat. "You have to understand," one of their leaders was saying, its voice translated through the chamber systems. "We truly believed we were destined to rule. Our intelligence, our technology." "Was impressive," Tom agreed, his voice calm. "But you forgot something important. True strength isn't about domination. It's about protection. About making things better for everyone." Marcus smiled as he watched. His ships were now revealing their secondary functions to the amazed galaxy. Vessels that had appeared to be warships transformed, sections of their hull reconfiguring to reveal medical bays, science labs, and relief supply storage. "Send the signal," he ordered. "Begin Phase 2. Across the galaxy, human ships started helping those the Bright Minds had oppressed. Worlds that had been stripped of resources received advanced farming equipment and water purification systems. Species struggling with diseases found human medical teams arriving with cures they had developed but kept hidden. Planets with failing ecosystems were introduced to restoration technology humans had been perfecting for centuries. In the assembly chamber, Kate was showing the gathered representatives something new. "These are the true maps," she explained, displaying galaxy charts far more detailed than anything the Bright Minds had. "We found habitable worlds nobody knew existed. Enough space and resources for every species to thrive." The assembly representatives watched in wonder as Kate revealed just how much humans had explored while pretending to be confined to their small section of space. They had mapped trade routes that could cut journey times in half, discovered resources that could end scarcity for dozens of worlds. "But why hide all this?" a representative from a small mining world asked. "Why pretend to be less than you are?" Marcus switched his ship's comm to the assembly channel. It was time for the military perspective. "Because we needed to know," he said, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber. "Would you use us as weapons? Try to turn Deathworlders into your soldiers? Or would you accept us as partners?" He gestured, and his crew sent new data to the assembly screens. "Every ship in our fleet has 2 configurations, war and peace. We chose which to show you based on your choices." The assembly watched as the Hammer of Dawn demonstrated, its massive hull shifting and transforming. Weapon ports became docking bays for science vessels. Artillery sections revealed themselves to be atmospheric processors capable of restoring dying worlds. What had appeared to be a superweapon was also the most advanced exploration and restoration vessel ever built. "The Bright Minds chose war," Marcus continued. "They tried to use fear and power to rule. Now they'll learn what humans already know. True power comes from helping others, from building things up, not tearing them down. In holding cells throughout the galaxy, the Bright Minds military leaders were beginning to understand their mistake. They had spent centuries preparing to fight primitives, only to find themselves facing a species that had mastered both war and peace. From now on, Marcus announced, the galaxy will know what Earth taught us. Survival isn't about being the strongest or the most ruthless. It's about cooperation, about using strength to protect, about making sure everyone has a chance to grow. His ships hung in space above 100 worlds, no longer hiding their power. But they weren't there as conquerors or rulers. They were there as guardians, ready to defend any who needed protection, to help any who sought to build rather than destroy. The Deathworlders had revealed their true nature at last, and the galaxy would never be the same. 1 month after the failed Bright Mind invasion, the Galactic Assembly gathered again. The chamber looked different now. The tiered seating that had once separated species by their supposed importance was gone, replaced by a circular arrangement where all representatives sat as equals. Tom stood at the center of the chamber, no longer pretending to be humble or weak. Beside him, Kate and Marcus represented the intelligence and military arms of humanity. They had spent the past month proving that humans were more than just warriors from a death world. The last Bright Mind military installation has been converted, Marcus reported to the assembly. Their weapon factories now produce medical equipment. Their warships have been rebuilt into exploration vessels. Not one life was lost in the entire operation. The assembly representatives nodded in approval. They had watched over the past month as humans transformed the galaxy. Trade routes that had once taken weeks to travel now took days, thanks to human navigation technology. Worlds that had struggled with food shortages were growing crops in abundance with earth farming methods. But there is one more thing to address, Tom said, turning to where the Bright Minds representatives sat. Their crystalline forms had changed over the past month, showing new colors that reflected humility and understanding rather than arrogance. The lead Bright Mind stood, its voice clear in the chamber. "We were wrong," it said simply. "We thought superior intelligence meant we deserved to rule. But humans showed us that true superiority lies in how you use your strength." Kate brought up displays showing the changes across the galaxy. The Bright Minds' former fortress worlds had been transformed into centers of learning, where all species could share knowledge. Their hidden weapons research facilities now developed cures for diseases and solutions for environmental problems. "We didn't just defeat you," Tom reminded them. "We showed you a better way, and you chose to learn." The assembly watched as new images appeared. Bright Mind scientists working alongside humans and other species to solve problems that had plagued the galaxy for centuries. Their unique intelligence, once used to design weapons, now created innovations that helped everyone. "This is why we hid our true nature for so long," Marcus explained. "We needed to know who would choose cooperation over domination, who would use power to help rather than control." A representative from one of the formerly oppressed species spoke up. "But how can we be sure? How do we know power won't corrupt again?" Tom smiled and activated one final display. It showed the new defense network humans had created, not controlled by any one species, but shared among all. "Because we're all guardians now. Humans aren't here to rule. We're here to make sure nobody rules through fear again." The images showed ships of all species working together, using human technology combined with their own unique abilities. The Bright Minds' intelligence, the natural engineering skills of the hive species, the artistic vision of the gas dwellers, all contributing to a galaxy where strength meant responsibility. "On Earth," Kate said, "our ancestors learned that the strongest creatures weren't always the ones that survived. The survivors were those who learned to work together, to adapt, to use their strength to protect others." Marcus added, "We developed our technology in secret not to dominate, but to be ready. Ready to protect, to help, to guide. That's what being a Deathworlder really means." The assembly chamber filled with the sounds of agreement in 100 different languages. Species that had once feared or looked down on humans now understood. The Deathworlders hadn't just been strong. They had been wise enough to hide that strength until it was needed. "Let this be the story every species remembers," Tom announced. "Not just how Deathworlders stopped playing nice, but why. Not just the day we showed our strength, but how we chose to use it." The chamber lights dimmed, and above them, through the transparent ceiling, they could see ships of all species flying together. Human vessels flew alongside their former enemies and newfound friends, their powerful forms no longer hidden but now a symbol of protection rather than threat. "The galaxy learned 3 things that day," Kate said softly. "Never underestimate a species that evolved on a death world. Never assume that patience means weakness. And never forget that true strength lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the choice to protect." As the assembly concluded, a new era began. The Deathworlders had changed everything, not through force or fear, but by showing the galaxy a better way. And that was a legend every species would remember.